I'd like to share with you some more thoughts and opinions that I wrote down concerning malignant narcissism and human evil in general. I titled this thing Narcissism and the Disordered Belief System of Pride. Psychology at large has concluded malignant narcissism is a personality disorder. Other learned men and women in this field of study have termed narcissism a character disorder. And I believe both of these identifiers, and I believe in both of these approaches. I think they are accurate and worthy of merit. I would, however, like to share my own personal thoughts I'd like to share my personal thoughts on another facet of the malignant narcissist's disorder. The malignant narcissist is a belief-disordered individual. The malignant narcissist lives life under the sway of a disordered belief system that perverts every aspect of his life. There is much scriptural teaching on this disordered belief system called pride in the Bible, including the consequences of succumbing to it. Pride is a demonically inspired, man-made belief that is utterly repulsive to God, and we see as much in Proverbs chapter 6. And I quote, "These things the Lord hates, indeed are repulsive to him. A proud look, the attitude that makes one overestimate oneself and discount others." I think it helps to understand that pride is a belief. It's a false belief. It's a belief based upon abject falsehood, but it is a belief nonetheless. Pride is the term that the Scripture ascribes to the false belief a man clings to concerning himself, which ultimately affects the beliefs he holds concerning the world around him. A key element of the pride that we read of in Scripture is the inordinate belief in one's own superiority. Pride is believing in the superiority of one's own judgment or one's own power to discern right from wrong. Pride is believing in the superiority of one's own understanding, one's own perspective, one's own intellect. Pride is believing in the superiority of one's own personal attributes, capabilities, abilities, and ingenuity. Pride is believing in the superiority of one's own needs, one's own wants and desires in relation to the needs, the wants and the desires of others. Pride is believing in the superiority of one's own personal pleasure in relation to any type of moral code. Pride believes that if it feels good, then that's sufficient grounds enough to do it. Pharaoh is a good example of the belief system of pride in full display. He made this statement to Moses, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice?" And in these words, one can clearly discern the disordered belief system of Pharaoh. It was brutally simple. I am superior to God. My law is superior to God's law. Who is God, or who are you, Moses, for that matter, to show me what's right or wrong, to show me what's good or bad? The disordered belief system of the Pharaoh who enslaved Israel is no different than the disordered belief system of the malignant narcissist who abused you. At a certain point in his life, the malignant narcissist made the definitive decision to place absolute trust and confidence in his own understanding, in his own power, in his own wisdom, and in his own righteousness. The malignant narcissist came to believe that who he was and what he was, somehow or other, was of a higher order than either God or man. He came to believe that his personal judgments held greater merit than the judgments of either God or man. He came to believe that his interpretation of reality was of a higher level than the reality proposed by either God or any man. He came to believe that his opinion was absolute truth and should be viewed this way by others. He came to believe that his understanding was absolute light and should be viewed this way by others. He came to believe that his wants and desires were of absolute importance and should be viewed this way by others. And he came to believe that the things that pleased him were of the highest priority and should be viewed this way by other people. Now here's the problem. In order to accept this distorted belief system of pride, one must squash the promptings and leadings of one's own spirit. In order to accept this disordered belief system, one must despise the voice of one's own conscience. We read in the 20th chapter of Proverbs that the spirit of man, or the conscience of man, is the lamp of God. This is a lamp that searches the deepest motives of a man. And we go to the book of Galatians in the 5th chapter, which speaks of the attributes that are born out of the spirit of a man. Attributes that are produced by the conscience of a man. And these attributes include humility. They include meekness and lowliness. The compulsions of the human conscience, those compulsions of humility, meekness, and lowliness, they run counter to the belief system of self-superiority. The man who walks deliberately and habitually in accordance with the self-superior belief system of pride will effectively extinguish the lamp of God that is dwelling in his inner being. And further, the man committed to this perverted system of belief wholly eschews the precepts and doctrines of another source of God's light, that being the Bible. Perhaps this is what the author of Proverbs had in mind when he penned the following verse. Pride goes before destruction. A haughty spirit goes before a fall. Proverbs 24 tells us that the wicked fall into evil, not simply evil circumstances. The proud eventually fall into a condition, a state of evil. Pride, in other words, has the power to turn someone bad. Pride can turn someone rotten. To put another way, adhering to the false belief system of self-superiority can lead one to a place or a condition of malignancy. The origin of what we have termed malignant narcissist may very well be traced to a complete abandonment to the disordered belief system that we call pride. Thank you.